What's up, everybody? This is Alex from Heavy New York. We are at the Harmon booth at NAMM 2019, and today we are here with Tommy Vext of Bad Wolves. Thank you so much for your time, man.
I'm good. Wait, what was the question? It's early.
Yeah.
They had me here early. I was at the Dime Bash rehearsing last night with like Corey Taylor and Jason Christopher and Doc Coyle, and it was crazy. Nita Strauss was there.
Yeah, it's gonna be nuts.
Yeah, Tony Campos. I mean, it's the show's tonight. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's insane.
This was crazy. I can't believe that many people were here at 11 in the morning.
You have a lot of fans, dude.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they were just like, who's that guy with the weird hair? What? You know?
Yeah. But first, I want to congratulate you on all the success with Disobey.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah, the real question I've wanted to ask you, really, and I've always wondered this, whether I'm listening to a song like Rise of the Scorn by Divine Heresy or Release the Cure from Westfield Massacre or Life's Embrace or even Remember When, your lyrics really touch a lot of fans' hearts and really speaking to me. Do you need to hear music in order to come up with lyrics, or does this concept that you come up with ever determine the music itself?
Both. So sometimes I'm like, I want to write a song about this, and whatever band I'm in, I'm like, hey, this is what I want to do, and the opposite, the inversion is true. Sometimes a song, I work with a band, artist gives me a song, and they're like, dude, what do you think about this? And I listen to it, I'm like, and basically I write off my interpretation of what basically the music is in my head telling me the words. Yeah. And I'm like, this is about this. Yeah. And then it just kind of becomes what it is, That's awesome. It's a weird process. I never really realize I never really think about that. I just do it. I don't know.
Can your lyrics be open to interpretation, though, ever? Like, I know Remember When is very personal, but, if somebody were to take that into their own way and interpret it that differently?
Yeah, on Disobey, there are songs like Shapeshifter, which is, like, kind of not really direct what it's about. You know what I mean? It could be about a relationship. It could be about this. It's actually about, like, sexual misconduct and, like, compulsively cheating. Yeah. And like those kind of behaviors, about a relationship that I experienced years ago. So, and it was actually me putting myself in the other person's head space. You know what I mean? Or there are songs like, I don't know, there's just so many songs that are kind of like Better the Devil was a song that wasn't directly like, oh, I'm gonna write this about this. It just started to started to be a story about a type of person, and then when it was over, it was like, oh, this is exactly like, this person, So when John read it, he was like, oh, is this about this person? I was like, no, it's actually about this person, like a different person that we know. And he's like, oh, they sound like they're exactly the same.
That's pretty fucking funny.
Yeah.
I know that you've dedicated your life to helping people, which is something that I've always admired about you as an artist. Whether it's, you wrote music that definitely helps people, but I know that you also work in the world of helping people who struggle with addiction, and and helping people who are suffering with domestic abuse. Is it fair to say that does maybe working in music ever help you inspire people does working with music ever inspire you to help other people, or like helping these people ever influence your music at all as well?
I think that, anytime that you're having an emotional and vulnerable exchange and storytelling and kind of, Learn to Live was kind of like that. Learn to Live was about somebody who I helped. I was trying to help. And they perpetually felt sorry for themselves about circumstances that they couldn't control, that weren't their fault, but they played the victim and then refused to, accept help, and they died. Yeah. And so, it definitely affects, it definitely affects me. There are things about, so like we've lost friends, our friend Cato passed away, and he taught me, he's a friend for years, and he taught me some of the most important life lessons I'll ever know in the music industry about defining my personal value, and about how it's a business, and anytime there's an industry's job is to make money, and doesn't necessarily care about people. They pretend, but it's not really about that. It's a business first and foremost, and when you're working in business and you're like, I need to make money, if you don't say that and you don't make a boundary, you'll be secondary. People will always put themselves first. The suits will always put themselves first before taking care of you. They'll give you just enough, like a donkey and a carrot, to keep you making them money.
Yeah.
So you have to learn how to break that cycle by defining your own value and say, what am I willing, and so stuff like that, these are the impact that these people have on my life. Translates through lyrics. It translates through the business aspect of what I do. It makes me a better person.
Yeah.
And it's not just me helping other people. There are people who are helping me. It's like a circle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I have one more question for you.
Sure,
That's cool.
sure.
Or
Yeah.
so with everything you have done between Bad Wolves and Divine Heresy, Vext, Westfield Massacre, and so much, is it a completely different mind frame? Because I could tell it's your voice regardless of what I'm listening to. So
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if maybe there's a blanket methodology behind your songwriting, or if every project calls for a new approach.
No, I mean every song calls for a different approach. You know what I mean? I think I will say that in bands like Westfield Massacre and Divine Heresy, that was one thing, that was one style, and obviously I wrote with Tim Young, on the first Westfield Massacre record, and Bill Hudson from Trans-Siberian Orchestra, and recorded all the guitars and wrote all the guitars with me, and nobody who was in the band actually wrote the first record, so it was like this metal record.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's what it was. And then same thing with Divine Heresy, and Vex was a rock band, and so it used to be a hardcore band, and then we refurbished it with the same name, and then when John sent me a demo of Learn to Live, and I sang it, and I needed music to submit for a car commercial that needed a heavy metal song, and because there was a mosh pit and it was a big payoff, and so sometimes musicians will write for commercials, and so I got an offer for that, and so I wrote Learn to Live and sent it back to John. He was like, we can't send this, we have to be in a band. And I was like, how many of these songs do you have? He's like, I've got 14 already. And I was like, oh, we'll send the other ones, and then that was it.
Does the emotional aspects that you feel in these songs, depending on the level of heaviness that you have, I've always thought that you made songs like Closure or Honorable Discharge or Life's Embrace, those are ballads to me, but then you have a song like Better the Devil or Learn to Live that are just heavy as shit. Is the emotion that you channel into, it's fair to say you feel different emotions when writing, right?
Yeah. I mean, the barometer of intensity changes. I think that the intention is always to do something that's honest. If you look at Phil Anselmo and on Far Beyond Driven, and you have, Use My Third Arm, and then you have the Planet Caravan cover.
Yeah.
It's the same singer, but it's a completely different usage of his voice. You have Corey Taylor, who does a song like Snuff, but also does, Sick or People Equal Shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's just why there's no rules, I think some people are able to kind of tap into a greater scale of human emotions and bring that to metal and rock, and then you have bands like Cannibal Corpse and Dying Fetus and Cephalic Carnage, where those vocalists, that's what they do, and they just it's sick.
Yeah.
But it's just a different vibe, you know what I mean? So I think I don't think it comes from a different place. I think it's just a different technique.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, man, thank you.
Since I started this, you were the #1 target as a guest.
Oh, I got a target on my back. No, just kidding. She's like, I got him.
I just know that you're heading to tour with Nickelback soon. Is there just Is there just anything else with Bad Wolves that you would like to promote? I know you're working on new music.
Yeah, I mean we have 21 new songs already.
Wow.
we've been off for 6 weeks, and they already have.
Is it a direct follow up to Disobey? Do people the first record appreciate this, or are you going to experiment a little bit more?
No, I mean it's gonna be, it's to me it's well, how do I explain it? It's kind of okay, so Vulgar, Display of Power, to Far Beyond Driven, or, from Pantera, or Alive or Just Breathing to
End of Heartache.
End of Heartache. we're taking we're just going in our natural progression of we sound the way that we sound. The first album was developing the sound. Second album is, fine tuning it, and hopefully by the third album we perfect what we are.
Awesome.
So yeah,
Awesome.
stick around.
Well, thank you so much, Tommy.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. Everybody, Tommy Vext of Bad Wolves. If you've been sleeping under a rock, be sure to pick up Disobey if you haven't already, and be sure to be on the lookout for new music soon.
How do you fit under a rock? I don't fucking know.
And shout out to Harmon for connecting us. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
We'll see you next time.